Welcome to the Principal Patterson Podcast, where leadership meets excellence in education. I'm Shanavia Patterson, and I'm here to help you navigate the nuances of becoming a high-performing school leader. Each week, we'll explore essential pillars of high-performing schools, from climate and culture, teaching and learning, systems and operations, and even coaching and development. Remember, everything that happens in our schools is leadership created or leadership allowed. Join me as we create schools of excellence, one principal at a time. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, we are going to talk about a question that is sitting in the back of many school leaders' mind right now. They haven't even said it out loud. They haven't even brought it up to their superintendent, but it's there. And that question is it okay for me to want leadership development support outside of what my district provides? Oh boy, maybe you've had this thought. Maybe you've wondered if asking for leadership development coaching or support meant that you were somehow being disloyal, or if it was going to signal that you couldn't handle your job, or if people would think you were trying to go rogue. So today, we're going to settle this once and for all. I'm Shanavia, and welcome back to the Principal Patterson Podcast. And we're going to talk about why asking for coaching outside of your district is not a red flag. It is a strategic leadership move. I'm going to share a story of when I made this exact decision when I was a principal, what happened when I did it, and why I believe every leader should feel empowered to advocate for the support that they actually need. So let's get into it. So let's start here. If you've ever felt hesitant about seeking coaching outside of your district, listen, it is absolutely okay. I talk to school leaders every week who carry that same question. And when we dig into it, the hesitation usually isn't about the investment or the time commitment. It's about the perception. They're worried about how it's going to look. Will my superintendent think that I don't value the district PD? Will people assume that I'm struggling? Will it seem like I'm not a team player? And I get all of that. But this is the thing. The culture of school leadership rewards alignment, right? It values loyalty. It celebrates people who show up, lean in, and support the systems that are already in place. So when you start thinking about going outside the building for support, it can feel like you're stepping out of line. This is what I want you to hear. Seeking leadership development and coaching outside of your district and being a strong, aligned, loyal leader are not mutually exclusive. They go together. In fact, they go hand in hand, because the leaders who are the most committed to doing this work well, they're the ones who recognize when they need more support than what's currently available to them. And instead of them waiting until they are burned out or being reactive, they ask for help while they still have the vision. That's not disloyalty. That is actually wisdom that you have. So if you've been thinking through this quietly, wondering, is it okay to want a little bit more support? Let me be the first to tell you that yes, it is absolutely okay. Okay. Let me tell you about a moment when I realized this for myself. So years ago, when I was serving as a principal, I made the decision that felt bold at the time. I wanted coaching and development outside of what my network provided. And let me be very clear about something. It wasn't that our network or district wasn't supportive. It wasn't because professional development was bad. And it wasn't that I was trying to bypass anyone and do my own thing. I knew what my school needed. And I knew what I needed, who I was becoming. And I asked because I understood something about myself that hadn't been fully grasped before. The district professional learning and executive leadership coaching serves two very different purposes. The district PD is designed to move systems. It's about alignment, shared language, frameworks, compliance, all of those things. It's about making sure that everyone is on the same page and moving in the same direction. And that's critical. We need that. And I get it. I have served at that level, so I understand it. But coaching, executive leadership coaching, is designed to support the human that is leading within that system. Those are not the same thing. And so when I asked for leadership coaching and support outside of my district, it was not about that I was going rogue. I knew what I needed. I knew that in order for me to do what I needed to do to serve my students and who I was becoming as a leader, the human, the me part of this needed more. I needed a space where I could process the things that I couldn't say in team meetings, where I could walk through the high stake decisions without worrying about how I was going to land politically, where I could talk about my own doubts, my questions, the weight that I was carrying without it being part of the narrative of my leadership. And so I needed that space where I didn't feel like I had to perform. And so what did I do? I made the ask. And here's what I was afraid of. I thought it might seem like, oh, that's unnecessary. We already provide that. Or even worse, I thought it might have been viewed as being disrespectful. But in actuality, my director, superintendent at the time, respected it. Strong superintendents, executive directors, leaders who are secure and strategic, they know this. They know that when they have a leader on their team that is seeking development, don't wait until they're burnt out, who asking for it while they still have the vision. Oh, they know that they care deeply. And it is important that they support that while those leaders still want to lead well. That request did not signal a weakness. It signaled that I had the strength to ask and advocate for myself. I shared with my director at the time that I was thinking long term, I cared about sustainability, and that I was serious about leading well and not just like surviving day to day, year to year. And when I stepped into executive level leadership coaching, everything changed for me and my school. And it wasn't that our district learning wasn't valuable, but I finally had the kind of support that I could go deeper, where I could process, reflect, recalibrate, and grow in ways that were specific to me in the season that I was in. And it made me a better leader. And even not just for myself, for my staff, my students, and the entire district. So let's talk about what coaching provides that's different from the district level PD, because I think there's a lot of confusion that happens there. So people assume coaching and professional development are interchangeable, and they're not. And so here's the distinction. Your district level PD and professional learning is systems focused, whereas the coaching is leader focused. The district learning is designed to create alignment across a system. It ensures that principals understand the district priorities, they're implementing those frameworks consistently, and that they are fluent in the same language and practices. It's essential work. The schools can't function without it. But this is what district development can't do by design. They cannot give you a space to process that isolation at the top. They can't always help you navigate some of those staffing dynamics that require discretion. They can't always support the identity shifts that you're dealing with that happen as a result of your leadership responsibilities. They can't always hold the emotional weight of leading adults, specifically leading adults through change. And so that's where your coaching fills the gaps. Your coaching creates a space where you don't have to protect the room, where you can say the thing that you can't say in other meetings, where you can process out loud without worrying about how it's going to be interpreted or used against you later. There is no retaliation in coaching. There's no connection, which is why outside of the district support is so essential. That kind of space, it doesn't compete with your district work. It actually strengthens it. Because when you have a place that you can process, reflect, and recalibrate, you show up better at the district. That's my goal, is that my clients can go back to work and they show up refreshed and ready, calmer, more grounded. You're not going to bring unprocessed emotions into your meetings. You're not personalizing every challenge. You're not leading from a place of depletion. You're leading from a place of clarity. And that's going to benefit everyone. Let me give you an example. I was working with a principal recently who was navigating some really difficult staffing situations. And she had a teacher who was considered a beloved by the families, but this teacher was creating some toxic dynamics on the team. And every time she tried to address it, she felt like she was walking on a tightrope. The principal did. And so in some of her leadership team meetings, she couldn't fully unpack it. It was too sensitive. There were too many relationships connected to the teacher, just too political, just messy, right? But in coaching, she could. She could talk about her fears, her doubts, the pressure she felt from all sides. And because she had that space, she was able to get clear on her own values, her own non negotiables, and the conversation she needed to have. So when after we empowered her, equipped her with the tools that she needed to have this conversation, she finally had it, and she wasn't reactive. She wasn't defensive. She was grounded. And that didn't happen because of a district training. It happened because she had a space that allowed her to go deeper, quieter, and do the work that leadership requires. It's coverage. I always say leaders need to be covered in coaching. And so let's talk about something else that comes up often when you are considering external leadership coaching and support, and that's the loneliness that comes with leadership. You are the person that, of course, everyone brings their problems to. You're holding your staff together. You're trying to manage up to the district. You got the parent concerns. You're navigating some politics, some personalities, and just overall pressure. And at the end of the day, where do you go? For a lot of leaders, it's nowhere. They just internalize it. They carry it home. They dump it on their spouse or their partners. Sometimes they process it alone in the car when they get home and sit there for about 30, 40 minutes before they go into the house. And over time, that isolation becomes unsustainable. This is why community matters just as much as strategy. When you're in the room with other leaders who understand the pressure, the pace, the complexity of the role, something shifts within you. You stop questioning whether you're cut out for it. You start personalizing every challenge. You start leading with more boundaries, more confidence, and just more overall clarity. This is one of the most overlooked aspects of coaching. It's not just individual support, it's the community support that is so essential. If you're a part of any type of coaching cohort or leadership community, you realize, okay, other people are navigating this too. They felt this way. I'm not broken. I'm not failing. I'm actually just human. And I have a hard role. And that realization empowers you to keep going. It was never meant to be a solo act, but for some reason, we treat it like it is. And so here's the question I want you to sit with. If you're a school leader and you've been thinking about coaching, but you haven't made the ask, I want you to ask yourself this. Am I avoiding asking for the support that I know I need and my school needs because it's unnecessary, or because I've been conditioned to believe I should be able to do this alone? Just sit with that for a second. In my experience, a lot of leaders who hesitate to ask for coaching, they aren't hesitating because they don't need it. They're hesitating because somewhere along the way, they internalize the message that asking for help means you're not strong enough. And you have to unlearn that. The leaders who grow the most aren't the ones with all the answers. They're the ones who advocate for themselves, even when it's uncomfortable. So when you're seeking coaching outside your district, it says something powerful about you. It says you're thinking long term. It says you care about sustainability. It says you're committed to leading well. That's the kind of leadership our schools so desperately need. And now I know you may be wondering, okay, but what will my superintendent actually think or my director? And let me speak to that because I have the honor of working with superintendents and executive directors and coaching them across different districts. And I've had these conversations behind the scenes. And this is what I've learned. The superintendent that are secure and that are strong, they admire the leaders who are proactive about their own growth. They don't see it as a threat. They see it as self-awareness. They value the principals and the assistant principals who are reflective, who are invested in doing the work well, who are thinking beyond just day to day. And when a leader comes to them and say, I like to pursue executive leadership coaching so that it can support my development, that conversation, when it's framed well, it's not met with like suspicion. It's met with respect. It signals that you're serious. You're committed. You want to be the best version of yourself in this role. What superintendent wouldn't want that for their principal? Now, does that mean every superintendent or executive director will immediately say yes and invest in it? No, not always. Budgets are real, constraints are real. But even when the answer is, well, we can't invest in that right now, the posture of the leader who took the ask is still seen as a strength. So if you've been afraid to bring it up, I want to encourage you, have the conversation. You might be surprised by the response. If it's one thing I want you to walk away from this episode knowing, it's this. You don't have to choose between being a loyal, aligned leader in your district and getting the support that you need. You can do both. And when you do, everyone wins. Your district gets a healthier, clearer, more grounded leader. Win for them. Your staff gets someone who isn't leading from depletion. Win for them. And you get to lead without losing yourself in the process. If this conversation resonated with you and you are ready to explore what leadership development and coaching could look like for you, whether one-to-one or in community with other women in leadership, I would love to connect with you. Okay. I want you to look in the show notes, grab any of the information that's there for you, connect with us. We would love to support you so that you can lead better. Thank you for joining me today on the Principal Patterson Podcast, where we create high-performing schools one principal at a time. Before we wrap up, I have one last favor to ask. If you found value in today's episode, I'd love for you to rate and review the podcast. Your feedback not only helps me continue delivering content that serves you, but it also helps other school leaders discover this podcast. Share the episode with your fellow principals, your leadership teams, or anyone you feel could benefit from shifting their leadership approach. Together, we can elevate school leadership and create more schools of excellence. So please rate, review, subscribe, and share with your community.